So what we're going to talk about right now is a little bit about the value add worksheet and how to use it, because I think it's beneficial for everybody to understand the importance of it, how to use it as a tool, and realize that this is a mission critical resource that you can use for free. And I wanted to go through it with you since you've gone through the process. And the very first question that's asked on the value add worksheet is your why. Why are you going through this job search? Because we know that it's not an easy process and you have to be motivated and dedicated. And if you're just sort of waffling like, maybe not, we want to target why. Why are you going to be spending your time doing this career search? So talk a little bit about what your process was. Why did you decide to enter the job market?
Well, I'll be honest, the simplest one was money. I didn't feel I was being fairly compensated. I have a college degree, I have a lot of experience, but when you start over, you start over. So, I wasn't happy or fulfilled with the temp agency jobs. I knew there was better things out there, or were better things out there, but I had trouble finding those jobs, because we're in a very small area, and unemployment is low, and it's not as easy as I thought it would be to find the appropriate position.
Yeah, and everybody's why is going to look a little different. Some folks have mentioned their children. They're entering in the workforce because they want to give their children better lives, and it's more financially driven. Other women are entering the workforce because maybe they've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, and now the kids are back in school, and mama wants to enter the workforce again to make her own money or to, really develop her skills. Everybody's going to look a little different for their why, but we need to target, because if you don't target your why, you're not going to be able to make a roadmap for your strategy, for your approach. Did you have something else?
Yeah, if you don't want me to interject, and it's, of course, some things about money, but it's also work-life balance.
Yeah.
I got one too many emails at midnight. I was tired of it. I wanted to find a job. If I'm going to be getting emails at midnight, I should be compensated for it.
Right.
If I'm on call 24/7, that just wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for more of a 9-to-5 type job.
Yeah.
A white-collar job. So it's, this really helps you, because once you know what you're looking for, then you can go look for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can always add and revisit the worksheet as you're going through the process. Let's move on to the second question here. It says, where I'm at right now, meaning what's it like right here, right now? What's your situation? And the reason why I ask that question is because if you don't know, or you can't identify where you're at this point in time, how are you going to know how to move forward? So Adam talked a little bit about where he was at. So do you want to share where you were at, not necessarily the company, but where were you at career-wise,
Well, I was at a place with growth, with potential, right? But it was working in a different kind of sector, a sector I wasn't used to. Before I was working in a little more of a technical type position, or engineering, or, project management, and it was a good job. There was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. And if you're not passionate about something, it's work becomes work very quickly if you're not passionate about what you're doing.
Absolutely. So. And when he identified where he was at, it helped him to start thinking about, okay, I know where I'm at now. Where do I want to be? And that's really kind of what these questions drive at is, let's see what we're doing at this point in time, and then start to brainstorm of, okay, well, what can we change, and how do we get there? Our next question on the value add worksheet asks for 3 words to describe yourself. Now, this may seem like a very simple question, but I told him that he needed to put a lot of thought into these, because he was going to memorize these. He's going to visit them every single day and think about how would you describe yourself to a person who's interviewing you? And I really hammer this one into everybody's heads because it prepares you for the interview, because you can go bam, bam, bam. But also when it comes to personal branding, for me, it's all about consistency. So whether he's posting his resume to an online job search engine or LinkedIn or talking to somebody, he can memorize his 3 and be consistent throughout any social media, his website, whatever. So how did this question really help you?
This is it seems like an innocuous question or not very important, but I'm going to reaffirm what Wendy said. It is the most important question, because when you go to that interview, you have these 3 characteristics that you identify with and you're portraying in your confidence. And I still know mine. Mine were passionate, or being passionate. I'm resilient, and I'm a thinker.
You got it right.
And when I say I'm passionate, if I'm doing something, I want to care about what I'm doing. Resilient means I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until I finish. And a thinker means I like efficiency. I'm an engineer. We're thinkers. And this really helped me identify with my core values of what I was looking for in a job and what I wanted to be doing. And also my strengths. Like, these are your strengths. These are your core values. So when you understand what your strengths are, it helps. It helps you look for a job that identifies with your strengths. And you put that on your resume, and you write those words in your resume. And the employers and the hiring managers, they see these words. So it's very important to know who you are on the inside, so you can portray that positive energy to who's hiring you. It's all about momentum. It's all about positivity.
And I'll just be honest, as an interviewer, if I ask this question to somebody looking for a job, I would be looking for an immediate response. I want somebody who knows about themselves. And if I get somebody who waffles, well, I guess I could say I'm, hardworking. Well, that's 2 words. Right? Hardworking is 2 words. I asked for 3 words that describe yourself, 3 characteristics. So something to think about, okay, as you're going through the job process. All right, the next question was sort of in the same vein, 5 sentences that describe me. Now, the reason why I ask this question is when you put 5 sentences, kind of itemize them like in a line, what that does for you ultimately is it helps you create a small paragraph about yourself when you start to put them together. Or some people call it an elevator pitch, or something along those lines. And so what I have our participants look at when you guys fill in this spreadsheet is 5 key things that you would want somebody to know about yourself. And then once you memorize them, you can conversationally communicate that. And I think that's a pretty valuable thing to have.
Yeah, and for example, I'm reviewing mine because I forgot a couple of them, but I'll read what I wrote. I mean, I put, I'm a deep thinker, I'm funny, I get the job done, I work hard, at work.
Not around the house.
And I put, I become disengaged easily with simple tasks.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying everyone identifies that way, but that's, I wouldn't enjoy being, a checkout clerk, because you do the same thing over and over and over. Some people might love that job, but that job wouldn't be for me.
Yeah. And that's the whole point, is he learned something about himself. Being disengaged by a repetitive task is obviously something that's good to know when you are looking for a job. So that was really, really helpful. I'm going to move on to the next one and just kind of go through this one fairly quickly. Something that I also want folks to do is to identify what their personal values are. And the reason why I bring your personal values into this is because, as you know, we bring work home with us, and home, we bring home to work and work to home sometimes, and we want to make sure that even though some of us are very good at compartmentalizing, like men I think might be a little bit better at that than women sometimes, not always, but it's a really important question for us to answer, because we need to know, what do we value personally? Because we need to make sure our professional life also fits in with those values. And I saw on here a couple of interesting things.
Remind me,
like
I've forgotten what I put.
No, I think you know, but he put on here that he values honesty and integrity. And so if that's a personal value, obviously you're going to want to look at a corporate environment or a job environment that has those values as well and shows those values. So that was something that was really important to you. And then also you had here that you really liked helping people, which is an interesting thing, because you are a very social person. You're a very social person.
I'm Italian.
Yeah, there you go.
I talk loud, I move my hands.
Right, exactly. You're a very social person, and helping people was something that was really valuable to you personally. And so for me, I looked at that and I thought, well, if it's valuable to him on a personal level, that's going to probably be a strength and something he'll look for in a professional environment. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was good for him to write it down on paper, I think. And then, of course, feeding into that are the professional values. Okay, because we bring home to work and work to home. We also need to identify what our professional values are, because you want to make sure that you're in an environment that is going to fit in with your values. Culture is changing in the corporate environment. It really, really is. And so something that I thought was very interesting, because Adam, I would say in general, is a competitive person. He's very
a little bit. I like to race. I like to run races.
He's very much into sports and athletics, and he's very competitive in his personal life. But on his professional value section on the value add worksheet, he said he would value teamwork versus needless competition. That was interesting.
That's just the way I am. I'm not a competitive person at work. I don't need a gold star. I don't need a pat in the back. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm there to get the work done in as easy and as simple a way as possible. If everyone's happy at work, then we're succeeding. You know, a team environment. That's just who I am. Obviously, money matters a little bit too, but it's just, I feel like, you know, for example, I would never work for Facebook. Never. I would never work for a huge company that has lots of competition, because the emails never stop. I mean, now the BlackBerry is kind of like a whip. I mean, your phone, it's 24 hours a day, and at places like that, very competitive places, there is always someone that's trying to get ahead. There is always someone working 100 hours a week. And you know what? If that person happens to be your boss, guess who has to also work 100 hours a week? Well, you don't have to work 100 hours a week, but you better respond to that email at, 10 p.m. because if you don't, we hear about it on Monday.
Right.
So,
and,
which isn't who I am as a person. Some people enjoy that, and that's fine. But I identified from this that, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a team environment.
Yeah, and also that says a lot about the culture that he's looking for. And that's something that I also worked with you on, was identifying what kind of company culture, a little bit about the work-life balance. And that kind of reflected in the next question, which is things I will not compromise on. And here, you had a little bit of a culture. You also had some financially driven things like your salary and your benefits and time management. And those are things that are very important for you to identify before you accept a job position. So you can interview and go to a company, have a great interview, but if you have that vibe of, oof, this might not work for me, I would really discourage you from taking that position, because in 6 months you'll be back to where you started from. And sometimes you have to trust your intuition. Sometimes you do your research online, social media. Remember, folks, when you go in for an interview, they're interviewing you, but you are interviewing them. And that's important because that gives you the power in that interview.
I would interject that I would say it's even more important. Taking a bad job or making a bad career move, it affects you.
Right.
It affects your mentality. It affects how happy you are. It just kind of, like Wendy said earlier, it slowly kind of spills into other areas of your life.
Right.
And you don't even realize it because you work to make money. You have to work, right? So if you start off at a bad job or make a bad decision, until you find a new job, you're going to be there.
Right.
I mean, you have to work. There's no get out of jail free card on this one. This isn't Monopoly. This is your career.
And when that happens, it can affect you, and not only you, but your loved ones, and and those are things probably most folks don't want to have happen. But it's very hard not to bring that home with you. Let's go on into the next section, which talks about your career and the things that you're looking for in the career. So in your worksheet, we looked at the different industries or areas of interest to you. And this is something that I have you guys think about because, let's say, for example, I personally would say that I'm a horrible salesperson. I just, I don't like doing it. I don't want to go into an industry like life insurance to where I would have to sell something. And
you don't want to do some cold calls. You don't want to dial a bunch of numbers from a phone book.
And I really need to see those things on paper. And when I work with people, I need to see those things on paper too, because I kind of have a little bit of an intuition sometimes about people when you're talking to somebody, and you can tell certain things. So not only like the areas of interest as far as industries are concerned, I've got folks, I'm interested in the entertainment industry, or I'm interested in working in, some sort of medical device industry, or, something of that nature. So we know where to focus and where to target, but also building upon the skills that you have. So here you have down on your worksheet that you don't want a job that is customer service oriented.
And by the way, my first job was working in a grocery store.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's a hard job. It's not easy.
It is a hard job.
It's a lot harder than you would think.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very customer service driven. I think that you're very much into resolving complex challenges. I mean, I cracked up because he's got a math problem on the back of his worksheet. So it was kind of funny. But that's a reflection. Those doodles are a reflection of who he is, and I'm not going to discount that. His process, and if his process was to do a math problem randomly, I mean, that actually tells me a little bit about him as well, and some of the areas of interest that he might be looking to pursue.
And I'll also say, if I could interject here, this is very important because you have people in different parts of their career. I mean, you have people coming out of college, they may have no idea what they want to do. They've got a degree in psychology, but they don't want to become a teacher. Well, what do they do? It's hard. I mean, once you've done a couple of jobs, you're more mature in your career, you kind of have an idea. So, and also for someone else, maybe they're getting towards retirement, and they don't want to do the competitive grind. They want to have a part-time job or something different. People in different areas of their career will have different answers for what they're looking for, and that's the ultimate goal here. I mean, this helps you determine, why am I looking? What am I looking for? And let's do it. Let's get it. And just those three simple things. But it sounds simple, but as we all know, it's not as easy as it sounds. It's hard to find a new job. It can be hard. Yeah. But it can also be fun. And this made it fun. And once it was fun, let's do it.
Well, and this kind of worksheet helps somebody like me coming from the outside looking at your answers. if I see in this question areas of interest or industries of interest, and I look at where you're at currently right now, what are you doing right now? And then I see a bunch of different things that are totally like a 180 and, way outside of your wheelhouse or what you currently are doing, I'm going to start asking tougher questions. Hey, this doesn't really jive and it's not consistent with what you're currently doing. And that's fine, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about that and see where is that coming from. And those are the things that this worksheet does. Our next question on here is, what are you looking for in a job or career? And you had really looked, and we talked about this.
Yeah, we've already talked about this.
Yeah, we already really talked about this. Work-life balance was very, very important to you. And I think that's a culture shift that is starting to happen, especially with a younger generation coming into the workforce where
the millennials are here.
Well, and it could be it's millennials and things like that, but also even somebody like me who's on the tail end, or of the millennials or whatever. It's something I value myself, and work-life balance. Some people are looking for other things, and it's going to be unique to the individual. And you had talked about salary, you had talked about work-life balance, and that really focused on culture. So when we talked about where you were going to interview and what jobs you were going to apply to, we had to focus in on culture, because I know that if you don't find something that has the culture you're looking for, you're going to be unhappy again. And we don't want that.
That's true.
Yeah. I know this is a long worksheet, but it's really important to understand how to use it. So I'm going to keep going. We'll look at a few more characteristics and qualities and things that I want you to start thinking about. And the next one is the 3 professional qualities you want to reflect in your resume. The reason why we're looking at your resume at this point is because crafting a resume, a very well-constructed resume, is not a simple thing. It isn't. No. And we looked at your resume.
But it's important.
Yeah.
The resume is a reflection of yourself. So it's very important. And
you want to really look at theming your resume, because if you've got...
And what I should have said here, sorry to interject, is writing a resume is a skill.
Yeah.
It's another skill. And once again, that's a skill that a lot of people don't have. I didn't really have. There's no class that says Resume Writing 101. Well, there is a class, but not enough people take it.
Yeah, well, that's where somebody like me comes in and helps you focus. So when we look at 3 professional qualities, what I'm doing here is I'm helping you focus in your resume. And if you were to ask me just on the side, I hate resumes. I think they're stupid, to tell the truth. But it's what we use now to hire people, with so many other amazing tools that we can use to express ourselves for careers, for our jobs. The resume seems a little dated to me, but it's how we play the game at this point. And so you have to strategize in your resume. And you had talked about your technical experience, that you had talked about the different types of skills that you have to offer. And when you start reflecting those in your resume, you're going to start seeing the theme. And we won't talk about buzzwords or anything like that in here, but it's important for you to put those down on paper, so you have a little bit of a roadmap on how you want to construct your resume. Another thing feeding into the resume are the skills. So you want to put down the skills that you currently have. And this is something that can take you a while. You can come back and revisit it. You can jot it down. I encourage people to come back to this worksheet and start brainstorming more. The skills you have now are really important because you don't want to forget them. It's going to help you when building your resume. It's going to help you when building your cover letter. And it's also going to help you when you're interviewing. So if you can memorize those skills front and back, if you know how to speak about those skills and showcase the value of those skills.
Well, and I'll be honest, just, kind of fresh from the interview, because I can comment on it. I mean, the first thing they're going to do at the interview is ask about your resume.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know your resume very well, or if you haven't practiced it a little bit, you know, it's important. It's important to practice it. And it's also, I want to be positive here because I'm always sounding, you know, kind of emotional and Italian. It's fun. I mean, this is where you get to brag about yourself a little bit. It's not a bad thing. I mean, a resume isn't a bad thing. You're showing that you do deserve to be there, and you do have the qualities and the qualifications that they're looking for.
Right.
So
absolutely. And you can put down, you know, anything that is valuable to you that you have, and whether it's Microsoft Office Suite, your technical skills, any kind of software programs, you know, relationship building. I mean, this is going to look a little different for everybody else, but you talked about your project management, you talked about your technical skills, you know, some of the certifications that he has.
Microsoft Office Suite, you got to have that now.
There you go.
Right?
I know it seems to be very common now.
3 words.
You know, Microsoft Office Suite. You know, right? So you know, it's just kind of we were saying it in jest, but no, but it's true. You've got to put down if you have any computer skills. You know, that's important. All right, now the next one. People ask me about this all the time. Wendy, why do I need to put down the skills I need? And my answer to that is because it goes back to one of our previous questions. Where are you at now? And then we can start strategizing and planning for where you want to be. Well, if where you want to be means something that's a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because you don't have all of the skills, we need to identify where those skills are, where that gap is or gaps are, so we can start working toward building your skills. And that can be anything from technical skills, tactical skills, to even emotional intelligence. Working with people. Maybe you've had a job where you haven't had to work with people and you're not a good relationship builder, but you want to completely change your industry, as one of our other questions asked earlier. So identifying the skills that you need. For me, one of them was project management. I really needed to improve on my project management. And so once I knew that I had to improve on that skill, guess what I did? I worked towards project management. And for you, you know, you had talked about, yes, you are a very, very quick learner, and you want to get more and more technical skills under your belt. And I think that's a great place to start. And then we have to identify what types of technical skills are you looking at.
And I'll be honest, I mean, this question really makes you think about things because, I mean, the world's dynamic. The world's changing. I mean, technology is changing, you know, not by the hour, but it really seems like it's changing by the hour. Every month there's a new gizmo, there's a new gadget. If you're not open to learning new things, I mean, you're going to become a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I mean, and my dad struggles with it. My dad's still trying to use Windows Vista. You know, he doesn't even want to go forward, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, I know Vista, I'm going to stick with it. You know, and now he can't print anymore. Because Microsoft doesn't support Windows Vista anymore.
Right.
So it's just, you know, I'll admit I'm a little overconfident sometimes, but just seeing this question reminded me that I have to be open to learning new skills and new things because the world's always changing, the workplace is always changing, and you just have to be open for change, open to change, open to new things.
Absolutely. We also have down here 3 different goals that he wanted to accomplish. And I know that goal setting seems a little trite to some people, particularly SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time targeted. But the reason why a lot of folks do goal setting is because it's going to give you something to look for and look toward. And you want to have something to motivate you. And goal setting helps with that. And it helps along the journey here as well. Because you had put here, not necessarily SMART goals, but one of the things that you really wanted to do was to get more interviews. And I think once that you started doing more applications, you were getting more nibbles, but then what was so funny is you have more interviews on here, but you became so confident that you were like, I don't want to go on that interview. You were turning interviews down.
Mm-hmm.
And so what was a goal, just interview, more interviews, really.
Well, it's also the quality of interviews.
Yeah, exactly.
And where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and one of them I turned down, it was a sales type position, and it was just, okay, I'm not really in the market for sales. And I'd already identified that, so that's why I turned it down.
Yeah.
You know, for someone else, it might have been the perfect place to work.
Right.
But I'd already identified what I was looking for.
Right.
So.
And his goals kind of evolved, but he at least knew what he
had a starting off point, somewhere to jump off from.
Exactly. And then going along with that, the next question is about 3 things that he could do to take action now, like right here, right now. And I'm not talking about, a week from now, a month from now, none of that. We're talking right here, right now. What can he do to work toward those goals? And identifying those things may not necessarily be an easy thing, because this takes time.
Mm-hmm.
It does. You can't just do it haphazardly if you really want to get the career that you're meant to have. And
I'll interject here. It's time management is everything, and we're good at time management, but the honest truth here is, if you only have an hour or a half hour or 2 hours a day to look for a job, that may not be enough time, but if you use that time wisely, it is enough time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can use time management as a strength.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, continuing on with the worksheet, going into this process, I have you identify 3 different supports that you can rely on. Because
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah, as you know, searching for a new job it's not necessarily fun or easy. And sometimes you need to bounce off frustrations, or sometimes you need to have another set of eyes look at your cover letter, or put out the word that you're looking for something, and you really want to have some support system. And you put here that
I remember.
Yeah, your wife and your family, obviously.
But I put my hobbies.
But exactly.
Because running, reading, that's how I de-stress after work.
And that was very unique, because most people think about family, pastor, friend, whatever. And he put down his hobbies and his core beliefs. And I thought, wow, that's really thinking outside the box, because that does help you de-stress. That does help you clear your mind. And those are the support. That's the concept of a support, is somebody or something that's going to recenter you, that's going to focus you. And so
And by the way, I was prepared. Sorry to interject here, but I was prepared. What was I going to do if I didn't get this job? Because there's a chance I didn't get it, and I was going to go. I told Wendy I wanted to go on a long run. I'd be okay. But once we found the news, if it wasn't what I wanted to hear, that's okay. I'm not going to give up the job search, but I'm going to need some alone time. I'm going to need some time to just de-stress, let it go, and then keep moving forward. Right. That's the key. It's not just be negative and quit. I didn't get my dream job. I'm done. I'm going to, my support system was my running, my de-stressing, the gym. For me, that was my own personal way of dealing with it.
Yeah, and that's perfectly acceptable. And I think that was actually great that you put that in there, because, like I said, most people identify, people. And
well, I'm super independent, so I like to be alone sometimes.
I was delighted when I saw that there. That made me smile. So anyway, all right, our couple more questions, and then we're finished with the value add worksheet. The second to last question says, what is it that you ultimately want? Now, this is a hard one for folks, because what happens is our minds start to just think about the immediate future. Okay, well, what do I want right now? I want a job. I just want a job. I want a salary raise. I want to get out of this horrible work environment, or, whatever happens to end up being. But that's great. That's kind of like the immediate. But I want you to also think about the future. What do you want in the future? Because you may not be taking that step now, but if you have it in your mind, if you have it in your heart, you know that it's something that you want to work toward, and we can strategize for that. And here you had spoken about, being compensated fairly. Mm-hmm. He had talked about a work-life balance, having a little bit less stress in his career, which I think most folks would agree with. Yeah. And he also had put that eventually it'd be great if he could either work from home or set his schedule, maybe have a little bit more independence. And I don't think that's something that would be impossible. Is it going to happen when he starts a new job? Probably not. But you know that.
Yeah, of course.
And that's okay. You're still happy, but that doesn't mean in 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever, that won't happen for him.
And I do want to say something to kind of build on that. And this is the importance of this worksheet, is it's reference material. What your goals are, they're going to change. What you want in life, tomorrow's a new day. Maybe 6 months from now, you realize that maybe it's time to shift to something new again. Maybe maybe my goals are different now than they were before. So, I really want to emphasize that the workplace nowadays is very dynamic, and, the era of the career is over. I mean, working at Macy's for 20 years and then retiring on a pension, that doesn't really exist. And the only way, if you want to maybe increase your salary, or maybe work from home, or, maybe work for a smaller company with more of a family base or a team atmosphere, you're going to have to move around a little bit. You can't just stay in the same job. It's not going to happen. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just you have to realize that it's okay to move. It's okay to believe in yourself, and it's okay to be confident. You don't have to feel that guilt, like, oh, I'm leaving this job behind. It's okay. It's okay to care about yourself, basically.
Right.
It's okay.
Absolutely. It's okay to be selfish every once in a while.
Exactly.
And then the last question on here is a promise to myself. He's laughing already and wants to see what he wrote.
I don't remember. I forgot a long time ago.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
I'm curious.
He wrote something very unique. I am self-motivated and don't need to promise anything to myself.
Well, that was a jackass response.
And, but hey, actually being as a coach, right, being a professional coach, I looked at that response and thought, actually this is really a true...
I'm self-motivated.
Yeah, this is really a true reflection of where his mindset was. And he is motivated, he is self-motivated, and he just thought, I don't need to promise myself anything, I'm going to do it. And I thought, okay, that's a fair response.
But I lacked the focus. So, I'm self-motivated, but I have weaknesses too, and focus is one of them. So as soon as I started the job search on Saturdays, my music went on my YouTube, I started doodling. I wasn't really focusing that energy I thought I had in the right areas. So,
but like I said, from my perspective, it actually told me a little bit about where he was at, in his
I was ready.
research. Yeah,
I was ready. I didn't need any motivation.
Laser focus. I
know what I want. I just don't know how to get there.
Yes, I know. But it was definitely a good exercise. And once again, this exercise is available complimentary to anybody who goes to my website, www.pinkcollaronline.com, or you can find it on my Facebook group. And you know, it's something that you guys can use to build off of. And this guy, after 6 weeks of filling this in and really living true to the values that he had outlined, he got an interview, was totally prepared, and more than doubled his income. And I mean, that really speaks to the value of this worksheet, but also the hard work that you put in. So I'm really proud of you.
Well, thanks.
Nicely done. Anything else you want to say about the worksheet?
It works. I told Wendy from the beginning, if it can work on me, it can work on anyone. Because I'm stubborn, and I thought I had it figured out, and you know what? I had to eat a little bit of humble pie, because I had kind of half been applying, half trying, since before we moved, and I still hadn't found a new career yet.
Yeah.
So it worked.
Yeah, it was a good experience. Yeah. All right, well, I hope that gives you a jumping off point on how to use the worksheet. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and good luck in your career search.